history, background, format, that sort of thing. So we're going to tell you a little bit about what is the Ryder Cup, where did it start, what makes it different, what is the team composition, and talk about the scoring. I know, Andrew, you just kind of gave a high level about the scoring, but gentlemen, the Ryder Cup actually began in 1927. Was anyone around in 1927 from this group? I don't think so. Looking at
Good
all
question.
So it's a long time, and it was originally the U.S. and Great Britain. So it technically wasn't all of Europe; it was just Great Britain. It didn't actually expand or go into all of Europe until 1979. So a little more recent. Still don't think anyone in here was born by then. But that really, I think, changed the format. It changed just in general the meaning. There was a lot more, players, I think, involved compared to just U.S. versus Great Britain. But you guys know who it's named after? If you had to take a guess, does anybody have an idea of who they think it's named after?
Absolutely not.
No clue.
So Samuel Ryder. Kind of makes sense, right? When you think about it. Ryder Cup, Samuel Ryder. You guys know who Samuel Ryder is? Has anyone ever heard of him?
It's got to be Sam Ryder's like great grandfather or something.
That's it. Got to be.
I don't know if there's any relation, so we'll have to fact check that. But I did have to look this up because I had no idea. But he is an English businessman, an entrepreneur, and a golf enthusiast. He was also a golf promoter. So basically, when he was like in his 50s, and this guy was, he lived like from 1850 to like 1936 or something. So it's obviously a while ago. But when he was in his 50s, he became a huge enthusiast. He loved golf. He wanted to, start something up. And so basically, he had this idea of a match between the British and an American and the Americans. And so it was a proposal that he put together, and he made it happen in 1927. So that's who Samuel Ryder is. Kind of random, but I always like to try to look up like where did this actually come from and why is it named after this guy? So he's the godfather of the Ryder Cup. Moving on. So let's talk about what makes the Ryder Cup different. So there's people out there. I know, Scott, you had mentioned this. This is actually one that I'm not as familiar with either. So, Trent and Andrew, feel free to chime in. But it's the main thing is a team atmosphere, right? So when you think of golf, when you think of PGA Tour, you think of individual sport, right? Everybody's out there trying to play to win themselves. But Ryder Cup is a team golf event. So you guys want to talk a little bit about the team aspect and what your thoughts are in general? Like, do you have a preference? Do you guys feel like team golf is better, worse, different? Like, what are your guys' thoughts on the team golf aspect here?
Trent, want to go ahead?
Yeah, for me, I've always loved watching both like the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup. I think it's like it brings a little more of an entertainment side to the PGA Tour and like golf in general, which I like. You get guys like getting a lot more excited for each other, like, firing up if you're in the US, the Americans get the home crowd going. Same with Europe. It's like it brings the audience more into the sport, which I think is great. But as far as like, I think I would personally like, I love when it's, it's straight up head to head final day. I think that's my favorite portion. I'm not huge on like the doubles and stuff, but that final day when all, what is it, 16 guys total, playing solo match play. I mean, for basically all the marbles, there's nothing better. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrew?
I think, team golf's been a thing recently with Live Golf, and no one cares about that, or I don't care about that. To clarify, because they try to create that energy with all the music being played and all of that, and trying to create a team atmosphere, which it really isn't. But this is so much different, just because of the environment that you're in. You go from, if you're playing at home like the United States this year, you're going to have so much support. You're going to have too much support, versus every single backswing you take as a European, you're going to have a noise being made. Like the first tee, we'll talk about the first tee box later, but it's wild. And I actually like the we're going to talk about setup earlier, but I like the partners for the first 2 days, because it's really important when the captain picks, which we'll get to in a minute, about who you're going to pick and why some of these people have been picked, because they know that they're good teammates with another player. And I think that yes, the last day is very important because the number of points that are available, but the first 2 days, you really get to see how a team works. And it gets to be really, really interesting, which I really, really like. Of course, I think the Ryder Cup's way better than the President's Cup, just because of the history and because of how much we hate each other, or at least how much the fans hate each other. The players, by the end of it, are all best friends. But the President's Cup is not quite as much as that, and it's just been United States domination for a while on that side. So
yeah. And there's more, when you talk about team golf, there's more strategy, right? Like you said, the pairings. It makes you feel like you're part of your tribe, right? Like you're representing your country. It's almost like it kind of has like, it reminds me of like the World Cup, right? Like a World Cup, you go back and you play for your country and you have that pride. And that kind of, I think that brings out, something interesting for the players and the fans. But one thing that is also interesting is historically, and we're going to talk about this, that there's a change this year. This has not been about money. So there has not been, the players, from my understanding, have not been paid, or there's no prize, etc. It's basically for pride and legacy. Is that kind of what your guys' understanding about this as well for historically?
yeah, 1,000%,
Yeah.
all
Okay.
pride for sure.
Scott, what do you think about the team aspect and also players in the past not getting paid? We're going to talk about this year because it's a little bit different, but what are your general thoughts?
Well, excuse me. I think that first of all, my first thought goes to Happy Gilmore too, and I've made that joke a couple of times, but I've never seen team golf other than that. And the movie, at first, I was like, "Well, how are they going to play as a team?" And then I realized that they were kind of doing some sort of a knockoff of the Ryder Cup, like halfway through the movie. Um, so yeah, I think it will be really fun to kind of see how the golfers interact with one another. Normally when you're paired with someone, it's because you're close to them in the standings and competing against them. And I feel like it'll be fun to see them kind of interacting while they're on the same side of things. As far as the money goes, I think it makes a lot of sense to have an event, especially that's only every other year, that is just purely for the pride, for putting your nation on your back and trying to go out and get the W. So, um, yeah, the take or leave the money. I think this event is a lot bigger than the cash.
And so new this year, the United States team apparently is going to have each of the 12 players and the captain receive $500,000. They have a charity donation, so 300,000 of that 500,000 must be donated to a charity that's chosen by the player. And the remaining $200,000 is a stipend, essentially for the player to use as they wish. But guess what? The European team will continue to be unpaid in 2025. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this first controversy?
Yeah, I can actually get some history to it because it happened, I think, shortly after last year's Ryder Cup, which there was a lot of drama with Patrick Cantlay 2 years ago, with his hat debacle, where he did not wear a hat and he blamed it on, or the public blamed it on sponsorships that he wanted to get paid for being in the Ryder Cup, and he would not wear the gear. But he's openly said that has nothing to do with it. The hat didn't fit him, and he wasn't going to play in a hat that didn't fit him. And then it just became a whole thing. And then there was a fight on the 18th green, all this kind of stuff between Rory and Patrick Cantlay's caddy. So a lot of really cool stuff, which we normally don't see. I'm hoping we get some of that this year. But I mean, I don't even know why they did this. I mean, it's what, $300,000 of it, or 200 is for them, and then the rest is for charity. I think it's great we're donating to charity, but $200,000 for these players is like nothing. So it just creates more heat for the European team to talk trash about us and rally behind that to beat us, which I think is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott or Trent, you guys have any thoughts on the payment?
No, I think I'm kinda on point with Andrew. Like, what, 200,000 to these guys? That's like $200 to us. Like, what's the
Yeah.
point?
Yeah, I guess, like, I don't know. Do they just pocket this 200K, or is it still intended to be used for the greater good for something? Because, like, they could take it back to, like, maybe their local clubs or local communities, or sponsor some golfers for events. They can do some cool stuff with that money if that's what they choose to do. But if it's just for them to keep, like you guys said, it's a drop in the bucket. Why are we doing that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also think it's really convenient they did that before the American Ryder Cup, not the European. Because if we were going to the European Ryder Cup, that's all you would see all day long is like checks being flown in the sky and all this crazy
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, very
Signs.
convenient. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw some of that actually at a college football game when Johnny Manziel visited. So, yep, I get that.
Wow. All right, let's talk about the team compositions. So, generally speaking, each team has 12 players. The roster is a blend of 6 automatic qualifiers that are based on rankings and points that are earned throughout the year, the PGA Tour year. And then there are captain's picks who the captain gets to choose strategically, based on, as kind of Andrew had mentioned, chemistry, form, experience. Maybe they want somebody that's going to fire the boys up. There's probably a lot of different things that go into it. But generally speaking, as we look through the roster, we have Team USA, which their captain is Keegan Bradley this year. There's a whole host of vice captains that I won't go into. You had the 6 auto players were Scotty Scheffler, JJ Spawn, Xander Schauffele, Russell Henley, and Harris English, and Bryson, excuse me. And then the other 6 captains picks were Justin Thomas, Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Cam Young, Patrick Cantlay, Sam Burns. So what are your guys' initial thoughts on the team for USA? Let's start there.
I think there is a lot of guys I like and only a few that I would probably change.
Like who?
Overall, I think I I really would have liked to see Keegan play, but that's just me. But I don't know. I feel like Sam Burns was a must solely because of the putter. Um, I just don't know how well Morikawa sets up for this course. I probably would have to ask him for someone else. Don't know right now who that would be, but those are, I don't know. I'm satisfied overall though. I think he went like 10 for 12.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. And Andrew, I know you're a big Keegan Bradley fan. So what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on the
Boston
roster?
sports through and through. Um, I, it's very weird. I have a total opposite opinion of Trent. I think Sam shouldn't be on the team. Um, because I felt like he was also added. He was the one that got added 2 years ago, and Keegan got cut, which is very interesting. And he was the only one because 2 years ago it was all about the boys' club. Spieth and Justin Thomas were put in on the team by Zach Johnson, and Keegan was left out. And now there's not really a boys' club anymore, right? Spieth could have been on this team. Spieth could have been because Spieth and Justin Thomas are the best group together outside of maybe like Phil back in the day. Phil with Keegan was a really good partnership, but and then I'm worried about Ben Griffin. I mean, the all the United States players played in a tournament 2 weeks ago in California because Keegan was an acting captain. He was just walking around telling his players like acting like a captain. And then it was a playoff between Ben Griffin and Scotty Scheffler. And I think Ben like 3-putted on the last hole to lose the whole tournament. So I'm worried about him and his putting and also being under pressure because he's performed really well in standard tournaments, but majors, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think he hasn't won a major, right, this year. So that one I'm worried about. But who would you replace him with? I mean, Brooks would be very interesting. It's Brooks just, if he was playing the PGA Tour, he probably would have auto-qualified. And then Yeah, Keegan himself. But that's the whole thing, right? Everyone thinks Keegan should be playing, but I don't think Keegan should play and be captain, right? I think if he were to play, he'd have to give up his captainship. And the vice captains, I know we didn't really talk about too much, but there's not a huge name there who has experience besides like Jim Furyk. So like, I think it would have been really cool if Keegan played and then Tiger came out of the background and said, "All right, I'm captain." That would have been amazing. I mean, that would have buried Europe. I mean, we would be way more favorites if that happened. If Tiger was the captain in America, but maybe they're just saving Tiger to go in Europe. So we'll see.
Who knows if they'd even show up if they heard that news.
Yeah. If they heard that, they would just, all right, we'll ship it off like till next year. That's right. Exactly.
Well, let me ask a question here, because obviously, it doesn't really matter where you end up to be a captain's pick. And when you talk about people that maybe you would have thrown in instead. Now, I'm just looking at the FedEx Cup points here. I know that doesn't tell the whole story because, guys like Bryson aren't even on that list really, but like Andrew Novak is a name that no one's really mentioned. Like, how would he have fit on this team? Because he, by all accounts, he's higher than several of the people that are on the team, at least in the FedEx rankings.
Yeah, that's a name you could throw around. Definitely had a good season. I think one of the fan favorites down the stretch was everyone was like picketing for Chris Goddard.
I was
that hot streak. Yeah, I mean, there's just like there's a lot of newer faces, I guess, and some old, like, I don't know, like everyone seems to hate Cantlay so much. That's a guy I don't think that's a guy I would pick. Personally, I don't know.
Yeah.
People have so many different opinions on golfers. It's very hard to like be like, oh, this guy's actually the best fit. But it's like, if you don't like him, it's like, who would you replace him with? And that's always the question when it comes down to these tournaments. Is like, do you take the guys who have the experience, or do you take the new blood that's up and coming and risk another Ryder Cup? So
nobody wanted Brian Harmon.
Yeah, that's his name. Tony Finau.
He takes too long. Brian Harmon takes too long.
Harmon. I can't watch another Harmon waggle.
We should just put Brian Harmon and Cantlay in the same group. It would be like 4 hours behind. I mean, geez.
The Ranger would
make coverage go for a while. Yeah.
The Ranger would be on both their asses. Come on, boys. Some other names that I looked at, I did look at Goddard and Harmon. Wyndham Clark, I don't know. He's hot and cold. Batia, the young gun. I mean, he can, if he plays well.
Yet.
Yeah, he's too inconsistent to go. I think in that stage, the stakes are too high for his inconsistencies.
Yep. The other one I think was Michael Kim, who I think also had not like a great year, but he had flashes
just won, didn't he?
There.
He won this last week, I think. Maybe. But yeah,
I'm not sure. Oh, Maverick McNeely, another young guy that
was another one really getting thrown around.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't make it. He was ranked way higher than a lot of these guys in the FedEx Cup anyway.
I think it was kind of between like McNeely and Burns and somebody else probably for that last spot.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yep.
All right, let's go over Team Europe real quick and get some takes. So Captain Luke Donald, veteran. Same thing, vice captains, a lot of random people. And then the auto picks were Rory, Robert McIntyre, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose, and Rasmus Højgaard and Tyrrell Hatton. Captain's picks were Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka, Ludwig Oberg, Victor Hovland, Matt Fitzpatrick, and John Rahm. Thoughts on Team Europe?
Sexy team, man. I as a guy who's only watched golf for a year, when I looked at these two rosters, I was just like, damn, that's a good lineup right there. And even Raven, because she watches with me, but she only sees like the top 10 on the leaderboard when we're watching golf on TV. She was like, well, these are all the guys I'm used to watching on Sundays.
Yeah. Go and put your European flag on. I mean, come on now. What's going on here? I mean, this is a United States podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna go viral in Europe.
I'm trying to expand the audience.
That's right. Get those early morning views. No, I mean, I think Luke Donald had the easiest job in the world. I could go look at it again. I think it's the exact same team, except you replace one Højgaard brother for the other Højgaard brother, I believe. from last year or from 2 years ago, which if you win and then you get to be the captain again because he was a captain 2 years ago, and then you just choose the same team, you don't get questioned like Keegan would get questioned if we lose this. He's got it easy. I mean,
Yeah.
I was looking up the snubs. The only one I even recognize is Thomas Dietrich is the only snub, and then the other Hogard brother, and then Sergio Garcia. But I mean, I don't think you would put in Sergio right now. So I think they are a stout team, and you just look at the team, and you like I feel like I could pick the partners from this team. Like America, I know some that we're going to team up, but I mean, you got best friends, Shane Lowry, Rory McIlroy, and they've proven winners. I mean, it's just go down the line. You can pick exactly who would partner up, and you have experience from last year because these are all the same guys from 2 years ago. Yeah.
Do you think Fleetwood has a new swagger now that he finally got a win?
Oh, absolutely.
He's still
Trent
the
doesn't
same
agree.
old Tommy. I don't think he never really lost his swagger. I love Tommy. I won't bash him.
That's
I
fair.
love him. He's always just been a good golfer that couldn't get it done, and he finally got it done. That's it. Plain and simple. It's like breaking the seal, you know? Might spiral out of control now, but
Yeah, I think the biggest thing if you compare America to Europe is just the strength of their captain's picks. I mean, they're auto picks, but like, I mean, John Rahm is your last captain pick. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, Victor Hovland plays out of his mind in match play. I mean, in 2 years ago, he played out of his mind. He like swept Scotty Scheffler in 2 different matches in Europe last year. But we're America. We're going to win. So I'm going to get right back on that train. I don't need to be wearing the wrong hat here.
Welcome to New York. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Oh man.
and
So-
correct me if I'm wrong though. So I want to hear your opinion on this. Are you as concerned going into this like compared to 2023? Like I think we have Oberg's young. I think he had some ups and downs this year. I'm not so much him, but Hovland, the last Ryder Cup, I believe, was coming off his best season on the PGA Tour, won the FedEx Cup, if I'm not mistaken, in 2023. Are you as scared of them now as you were then?
Deeb, what do you think first?
I mean, it's weird, right? Because like, okay, Rory won the Masters, but I mean, he didn't like. I mean, I'm not saying he did bad this year, but I mean, that was like his highlight moment, right? And then I feel like he was just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna coast.
He had
for
3
the
wins this year. It's not like that was his only win. He had 3 wins.
Yeah,
Well,
but
he
I
coasted.
think his season started out on the high. So I don't think
100%.
recently he hasn't been, like scary good
Yeah.
as compared to the beginning. Fleetwood, yeah, I would argue yes, like he's hot right now. Justin Rose is just always, he's like a veteran, so he's going to be there. I mean, Lowry had a reasonable year, but again, he's kind of up and down. I mean, I'm not saying he did bad, but Sepp Straka, I think, had a good year compared to in the past. Hovland didn't really have a crazy good year. I mean, he was down, like Trent said. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we're
had
talking
a down year too.
Yeah. If we're talking form, I don't know that they're as scary as 2 years ago. I think they have a lot of talent, like they could do really well, obviously, but I don't think the form is as scary as 2 years ago.
Yeah, my biggest thing is like I see that team. I know every one of those players is individually insane. Like I hate that list, but I feel like if you were to like simulate it right now, I would say we probably have like more guys playing higher quality golf than they do. That's how I think. But I was just curious what your guys' thoughts on that were.
No, my last point I'll say is I just am really scared if after the first day we are down.
Yes.
If we're down after day one by more than a point or a point and a half, the amount of media focus on that Europe's just going to repeat what they did in 2023, that there's no way America has a chance, or their backs against the wall. That's just going to be tough. But like I think that they're better partner golf team, Europe is, and we're better individual golfing team. which can go all the way back to European golf and like high school and things like that.
Yeah.
Because in high school they play match play. They don't play stroke play. Like they play team golf throughout their high school career and into college and things like that. America doesn't do that. So that's always been the reason why Europe's dominated us lately. That's where they go back, is all the way back to that, which is wild.
Yeah.
So,
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But that does kind of make general sense of, they're more used to that style.
Yeah.
The one thing, that we don't have, just because of the time of the recording this podcast, is the pairings. So just kind of, as I think people have mentioned, that there are going to be pairings. So Friday's pairings, I believe, are announced the Thursday opening ceremony. Then the Friday, Saturday afternoon pairings will be released about an hour before they start. Saturday, Sunday single pairings will also be released the preceding evenings, excuse me. So we can't really go into a lot about the matchups right now. So that's just going to be something that people look out for. But just as FYI, they will be released later in the week as we get closer. You guys want to talk a little bit about the format and the structure? So I'll kind of lead off here and then I'll let you guys jump in. But so Ryder Cup is played over 3 days. It's a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. And there's 28 total matches. There are a couple of different types of matches. So I don't know if Andrew or Trent, one of you guys want to talk about the different types of matches. But what are those different types that we're going to see this coming weekend?
I'll let you take the reins here, Andrew, if you'd like.
Yeah. So on Friday, there's foursomes, which is where two teams will share one ball, where they will alternate shots. So one player will drive, then the next will hit the second shot, and move on and on. And that's big for chemistry. Just in general, when I play alternate shot, I have one guy I play really well with because I'm really good off the tee. He's really good with irons. So that's very important to kind of match those up together. And then there's, and I think that's in the morning. And then the evening, they'll do, on Friday, they'll do four ball, which is each golfer plays their own ball. So they play the hole through. And then each, like the individual best score will count for that hole. It's also known as best ball. A lot of people play best ball. So typically you'll have your players be a little more aggressive on that, just because a birdie will win a hole. So you'll see a lot more partners like bogey and then birdie. Rarely do you get like back-to-back birdies with the same partner, which is good. That's the way you want to do it. But to go back to the pairing is actually very, very interesting, because America will assign their four partners, and Europe will not know the four partners. So Keegan will say, "This is my first two," and put in a blind ballot, and then Europe will say, "These are my first two," and that's who gets matched up against each other. So which I always was wondering how that worked. Like how do they know that this partnership is playing against the other partnership? It is purely based off of, this is who I want in the first tee, because the first shot of the Ryder Cup is like the highest stressful situation in the world. You don't want any of your amateurs. So I guarantee you, whoever goes up there first, like Scotty or or Bryson or someone who's handled the pressure before, but you will not see Ben Griffin teeing off day one, first tee box, guarantee you. So very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. And then the weekend we have the singles is the final part.
Yep, it's just one-on-one. Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, are they paired? Is it still 4 per group, or is it just 2 per group for that?
2 per group.
2 per group. Okay.
And I think it's the same thing where they just, this is who I want off first, and then Europe says this is who I want off first, so they won't really know.
Yeah, it's like they assign numbers to each player, and
correct,
you don't know until you get to the first tee box.
Yeah, which is wild, because you could have like Scotty up against like Hogard or something like that, or Ben Griffin going against Rory McIlroy. Like it's and I think what else is very important, and you'll see, is how fast a player will concede a putt is very important. Like the beginning of these matches, they'll be friendly. Like where if it's a 5-foot putt, they'll just, okay, it's good. And then towards the end of the match, when you're 4 down, 3 down, 2 down, you got to put everything out. But if they start making people putt everything out in the first 3 holes, then it gets nasty. It gets nasty between the teams. So, or if like Europe's down by 4 or 5 points going the last day, there will be no conceded putts anywhere. So pretty wild.
Interesting. So I didn't even realize that was an option to concede the putt.
Yeah.
So that goes back to kind of like being similar to TGL, where I've seen them do that.
Yep.
And I guess that's the only form of team-based golf I've ever seen for real.
Yep.
So there's not, you don't actually have to make the putt every time, right? You can just
Imagine
be like,
you're out there playing with your buddies and you're like, hey, that's good. Same thing.
Yep.
But my buddies know for me that that's never the case. So they're like, yeah, go ahead and hit that 4 more times.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, your friends are so mean to you.
I'm kidding. I actually think putting is the best part of my game, but that is fascinating to me. Okay, so there's a little bit of player discretion involved in some of this.
Yeah, actually, there's actually a technique where if you're so far behind that you just give them the putt because you're already going to lose the hole and you don't want them to hear the ball hit the bottom of the cup, so that maybe they'll miss it the next time. So they'll just, if you've already lost the hole, don't putt that out, please, because I don't want you to hear the crowd roar and throw that hit the bottom of the cup.
Okay, some psychology.
Yeah.
So that was the type of matches. I think it's also important to just briefly touch on the scoring, right? So essentially, from my understanding, each match is worth 1 point. You can have matches so you can get half points. I think that's kind of what, Andrew, when you're referring to, if someone gets 14.5, for example, they have to win. But that's basically what the goal is. The first team to reach 14.5 points will win. And then that we already talked about it for the sports term of the week. If it gets tied at the very end, the defending champ, which is Europe, will win. So we hope that it doesn't get to that.
Do you guys, I'm going to stop you real quick though. Do you know how to break that down like into more detail? So like, for example, for foursomes, it's 2 teammates against the other team's 2 teammates. And if I recall, there's 8 people that play in that event, right? So there'd be like 4 pairings for Team USA, 4 pairings for Europe. Does that mean it's like there are 4 points available from the foursomes
in the morning?
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
4 in the morning, 4 in the evening, 4 in the morning on Saturday, 4 in the evening.
Got it. Okay, that makes the
Saturday,
math make more sense. And then 12 on Sunday when all 12 singles
Sunday.
play. Okay.
Correct.
Nice, dude. That's going to be super fun to watch.
Yeah. Which is why like a 4-point lead after day 1 is like massive. I don't even know how that, I guess it's still possible 6 and 2. Like it's a, like if there's anything more than a 2-point lead after day 1, it's a big deal.
Yeah. There was one thing that I do want to mention, which is the envelope rule. And I know, Andrew, you sent this, I believe. It was you, I believe, in the group chat that sent it. So do you want to talk a little bit about what that is? Because I'd never heard of that, and I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, neither have I, and it happened to pop up on my social media. But at the beginning of the week, each team captain submits a name in an envelope, and it's for if a player gets injured on the other team, then that it's pretty much your sacrifice of a player. Who are you going to give up that can't play on that last day? Which is really wild to me. That and it's happened twice. The video, there was some guy from America in the 80s that was like full on taped up from waist to chest and played Saturday and played through it. And then by Sunday, he couldn't move. So the European player couldn't play the next day. Yeah. And I believe they call it, I think it's a tie, right? So that's a tied match and each team gets a half point. Pretty wild.
That's crazy. So, hey, real quick, we'll just do the Team America here. Who do you think is in the envelope? Is it Sam Burns then, or what do you guys think?
I already know what mine is.
Ben Griffin?
Ben Griffin.
Yeah.
Yep, Ben Griffin for me.
I don't know. Cam Young, maybe?
He's been hot at the end of the year, though, man. He's been hot.
He was qualifying for the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Six months ago. He wasn't even in the U.S. Open, and now he's in the Ryder Cup. I mean, what's going on?
Crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I could see Sam Burns or Cam Young. Those would be my 2.
Yeah, that's a crazy rule. So, yeah, I guess the premise of that is you have to write down the person you think sucks the most on your team in an envelope.
Yeah.
Sucks to be that guy if that envelope ever gets opened.
I wonder how much thinking Keegan's doing on that. Is he like grinding over that for like a day or 2, or is it just like, nah, this is who it is? The last person I called was Sam, so I guess I'm putting him.
He put it in a randomizer.
Yeah.
Whoever it picks.
Comes out with Scotty.
Yeah. Oh, no. I would say he probably only puts the captain's picks maybe in the randomizer, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna do quickly. We're gonna go through a course and matchup preview. So a lot of this in the beginning is going to be about the actual course. So just to give people an idea, they are playing at Bethpage Black in Farmingdale, New York. I can show. I'm going to show an image after I talk a little bit about the course, but it is, according to what I found online, a par 70 course, about 7,352 yards, brutally difficult with thick, rough, deep bunkers and small POA Anua greens. So the greens are made of, this is our agronomy. So a nice word that I learned in the last year or two about the actual, what's contained in the course. The greens are POA Anua. Apparently that's a type of grass. The fairways are POA rye mix. The rough is rye bluegrass and fescue. It's long and difficult, as I mentioned there. Some recent adjustments that they made to the course. There's a new first tee that's built for the Ryder Cup grandstands, so we'll see that upon the very first tee off on Friday. They widened the fairways on a couple of different holes, such as 6, 7, 10, 11, and 13. Did a little bit of bunker tweaks. And some of the signature holes you can look out for are number 4, pretty demanding tee shot. 13, it's a reachable par 5, potentially a birdie swing hole. And then 14, which is a short par 3 with some dangerous pin placements. So, what type of player plays well or has a good chance here? Generally accurate drivers and strong iron play. I know that sounds very generic, but that's the name of the game. Essentially, the rough is going to penalize you here. So similar to some of the other, similar to like our U.S. Open, where we talk about the rough and how challenging that is. And on hole number 1 and 18, those grandstands are going to be crazy. There's going to be a ton of noise. The fans are going to be going wiling out. There's going to be a lot of pressure, especially when you're teeing off and putting. So that's kind of generally what people can look for. I do want to show a quick picture. And Andrew, I'm glad you brought this up. This is essentially, what is it, a sign at Bethpage
Yep.
Black, right?
It's on the porch behind the first tee box. Yeah.
Yeah. Here is the sign, just so that people know what they're looking at. It says, "Warning, the black course is an extremely difficult course which we recommend only for highly skilled golfers."
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what people have to look forward
Yep.
to this coming
And to
weekend.
touch a little further on what you were saying too, they have played 2 US Opens here too. You have to keep that
Yep.
in mind.
Yep.
I believe it was 02 and 09, if I'm not mistaken.
Was there a what was the one where Brooks won? Wasn't that a recent one? Was that a New York course? That wasn't Bethpage, was it? You guys remember?
Where he won the PGA Championship, you're saying?
Yeah.
Winged Foot? Is that where he won?
Okay.
I could be wrong.
I don't know why
Could
I
be
was
way
thinking.
off based on that. That
I
is a
was
total
thinking
guess.
New York. It's a New York course, I believe.
Yeah, and that is a New York course.
Okay.
But one thing about this too is it's very there's rumors, which I think are true, that the captain can ask the agronomy team to change the course how they want it to advantage of their own players. So in Europe last year, in France, I can't remember the name of the course, Luke Donald pretty much said that the right side of every fairway he wants deeper rough than the left side.
Wow.
Because America would tail off more to the right versus the left. I've not heard too much about what it'll come out later, but I think that they don't want to make this course very harder than it needs to be. Not like a U.S. Open where you're trying to have players shoot over par. You want electricity, you want birdies, you want eagles, you want some of the greatest shots ever.
Yeah.
So the greens will still run fast, but they'll be soft. You'll be able to spin them back. You'll get to see plenty of birdies and eagles because this is traditionally one of the hardest golf courses in America. It's I think it is the hardest public golf course in America.
Mhm.
But they'll soften it up, make it easy. They also move that first tee up, and I saw a video today that like Bryson was trying to drive the green on number 1. Can you imagine? He steps up first. He's the first person to tee off, and he just goes over the trees on this par 4 and lands it maybe just short of the green or on the green. I mean, all of America would the grandstands would fall apart. That would be amazing. I hope he does it. I don't think he's going to, but who knows? He's crazy enough to try it.
With a bald eagle flying overhead.
Right. Just
screeching.
Yep.
Fireworks.
Yep. And I also heard that on 17, there's a huge jumbotron that's the size of the Dallas Cowboys jumbotron inside the stadium. That big. So I'm really excited to see a drone shot of that. There's been some guys that have been there and they were taking pictures of it and stuff. So that should be pretty cool.